Hello, today we'll be talking about machine learning and neural networks. What will be covered is firstly what is machine learning, then how machine learning works, what are neural networks, the breakdown of how neural networks work, how does the neural network learn, transformer architecture, an example of a transformer, what is deep learning, how it can be applied to business use, e.g., through a chatbot, and then finally, I'll recap all of the above. Firstly, what is machine learning? Machine learning is a branch of AI that focuses on using the data and algorithms to enable AI to imitate the way humans learn through data to perform tasks. There are four types of machine learning: supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, semi supervised learning, and reinforcement learning. How machine learning works. The key steps of how machine learning works is that firstly, data is collected on whatever specific task the AI is meant to perform, e.g., with Alexa, collecting data on how to answer general questions as well as some specific questions. Afterwards, we train the model with that collected data and proceed to iterate many times until the model is good enough. Once the model is good enough, you then first do a prediction to predict how well the model will perform in the public, how well will there be any unforeseen errors that may need to be patched up before the official release, etc. Afterwards is the official release of the model, where it's rolled out to the public for anyone to use. Then feedback is collected, which is then used to maintain, then update the model. What are neural networks? Neural networks is a method in AI that teaches computers to process data in a way that's inspired by the human brain. It's done by using interconnected nodes that are meant to represent the neurons in the human brain. This is an example of a neural network. Starts off with the input layer, then goes to the hidden layer, then finishes at the output layer. The breakdown of how neural networks work. The layers of a neural network, as I mentioned before, it starts with the input layer and ends with the output layer and can have multiple hidden layers. The process of the input going to the output layer through the hidden layer is called the feed forward pass or just the forward pass. What happens during the forward pass is the following. First, it takes the input that it comes in, e.g., custom review or an image, and it turns it into numbers. Then it then multiplies it by other numbers, which are called weights, and those weights are created by the neural network. The result, the result of that is that it's passed to something which is known as an activation function, and it enables the AI to handle complex situations by adding bias. Then the result of this is that it goes then to the output layer. You can have several hidden layers, and each hidden layer, aside from the initial hidden layer, which comes after the input layer, all the other hidden layers will then get input from the output of the previous hidden layer. How does the neural network learn? It learns by having a backward pass. And this is where it compares the results of the forward pass with what you expect the result to be. E.g., you compare the review results with the result that the neural network gave. So if the neural network gave a result of negative and the review was positive, it passes the wrong result backwards in order to change the weights, to then redo all the multiplications and adding a new activation function to send a new forward pass back to the output layer to once again be compared. Transformer architecture. The process of the backward and forward pass can be slow. So to speed up, most AI companies use what's called transformer architecture. And this is because it can run multiple neural networks at faster rates. Transformers have two parts, encoders and decoders. The encoder will turn the input into numbers and do the forward passes on them, while the decoder is the one that's doing the prediction checks to make sure the neural network is getting the right prediction and the right results. The transformers also add what's known as a self-attention layer, which is essentially a table that has things ordered in levels of importance. This is the example of a transformer where it brings in the input, it goes into the encoder where it gets turned into numbers multiplied against the weights, and sends the forward pass to the decoder, which compares it to the desired result. And if the desired result is different to what the neural network gave, it sends it back for a redo. Now for what is deep learning. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning that uses multi-layered neural networks, which are called deep networks, to mimic the complex decision-making power of the human brain. The main difference between machine learning and deep learning is that machine learning uses simple neural networks with two layers, while deep learning uses three or more layers. This is an example. This is a normal neural network compared to a neural network that's used in deep learning. As you can see, the normal neural network only has one and sometimes can have two. Meanwhile, the deep learning has three additional hidden layers aside from the initial hidden layer that comes after the input layer. Now, for how machine learning can be applied to businesses. Machine learning can be applied to businesses in several ways, one notable way being chatbots. Machine learning can be used to teach AI chatbots specific informations about things such as the examples below. The first example is a chatbot that's specialized in planning trips. As you can see, it's been trained on the best places to go for trips, whether expensive or inexpensive, and the customer has given the input for how can they vacation in Paris inexpensively, and then it's proceeded to give them some ideas. This type of AI chatbot would most likely be used in holiday businesses or holiday advisor businesses such as TripAdvisor and any businesses that use planes and whatnot, planes, ferries, along with those luxury boats. The next example is a chatbot that specializes in giving advice. It's also known as a career coach. The person is given the input about being nervous about their big presentation at work, and the chatbot has been programmed to respond and ask what makes them feel nervous, what's the thing they're most worried about. Then once they've given the thing that makes them most worried about, they then give them the best answer they can create based on the data that they've been trained on. In this case, it's using index cards and picturing a friend to present it to. This type of AI chatbot would most likely be used in businesses that specialize in personal training. The final example is of a recipe chatbot, where the customer has given the input of what can they make with the following ingredients, and from there it's given a meal and the instructions. This type of chatbot would most likely be used in a business like HelloFresh, which specializes in helping you to create meals. Now, for a recap of what has been learnt today. What machine learning is, and machine learning is the use of data and algorithms and whatnot to teach AI in a way that's inspired by the human brain. And there's four types: supervised, unsupervised, semi supervised, and reinforcement learning. How machine learning works. And what we've learned is that machine learning works in the way by you first collect data, what you want to train your AI on, Afterwards, you use that data and use it to iterate the AI. And once the AI has reached the correct enough standard, you then run predictions. And once you're satisfied with the results of your predictions, you then roll it out to the public. Then we learn what a neural network is, and the neural network is a way of teaching AI which is inspired by the neurons in the human brain and uses interconnected nodes which are meant to represent the AI's neurons. And then we learned about how they work, which is where you put in an input, the input gets turned to numbers and multiplied against numbers created by the neural network. Then and afterwards an activation sequence happens, and then it gets sent as a forward pass to the output to be compared against your desired result. Then we also learned about how transformer architecture relates to and how it learns. And it learns by if the desired result is wrong, it gets sent as a backward pass for the new forward pass to be recalculated. And transformer architecture relates to it as transformer architecture speeds it up, and it's the decoder part of the transformer which is what does the comparing and what sends it back if necessary. We then learned what deep learning is, and we learned that deep learning is a method of teaching AI in a way to make complex decisions, and how the difference between deep learning and machine learning is that deep learning uses multi-layered neural networks, while machine learning typically uses neural networks that have two layers. Then we finally learned about how machine learning can be applied to businesses through ways such as chatbots. Thank you for watching.